You will see the SpongeBob movie shelf is looking mighty empty right now. And that is because I have finally completed my dream SpongeBob movie collection. Something I never thought was possible and has taken years to do to this point. And it is everything from one of the greatest film fast food collaborations ever done. Let me take you back to 2005 in the release of the greatest film of all time, the SpongeBob Movie. When it comes to the SpongeBob movie, I don't think there's anything more peak than that film in terms of SpongeBob or SpongeBob collecting. But something that goes hand in hand with that film and lives as an iconic memory for so many during that time is the collaboration that the SpongeBob movie had with Burger King. Many of us remember pulling up to the building and seeing the massive inflatable SpongeBob that was on the roof. Maybe you even remember seeing some of the window decals or having some of the toys. And today I'm here to tell you I have officially collected over the last 5 years every single item that was available during this collaboration. Not just the toys. I'm not talking about the watches. I'm talking about the cups. I'm talking about the bags that the food came in. I'm talking about the display on the building, the displays in the building, and much, much more. It has taken so long to finally complete this, so we are going to go on a drive-through journey through nostalgia and experience every single one of these items together. Let's do it. Okay, so sorry if you're seeing a couple missing items. We're working on some stuff here. We are going to start from the beginning. So let's just say you're pulling up to the Burger King back in 2005. We are going to be covering everything that would have been available to you at that time, as well as looking at it closer in a more detailed look to dig into the nostalgia, and also talking about how I acquired some of those items. Most of them were online over a period of time, but some of them have some interesting stories, so we'll cover that too. And we also have our special guest with us today, which is Avon exclusive SpongeBob the Movie Goofy Goober plush. Life must be tough being a collector's toy. You don't get that freedom of being out of package. So if you're pulling up at Burger King at this time, you would have noticed a couple items that would have caught your attention pretty immediately. One of them would have been the inflatable on the roof. I don't want to go too far without talking about that. It's probably the biggest thing everybody remembers from this promotion. If we can find any photos of it on the store building, we will put those on screen. There was actually a couple variations of Burger King inflatables that were on the roof for not just the SpongeBob movie, but because that was so successful, they did a couple other iterations as well. But we do have one of the main ones that was displayed on the building during 2005. And that thing is so massive, it's like 8 or 9 feet tall. I quite literally could not inflate it in the room that I'm currently in. So you'll have to look at this footage from the actual video that I did showcasing it in my backyard. And yes, you can go watch that video and see it in all of its great detail, 360 view. And I think the video captures it perfectly, but there's just no way I could show you that right now. And for the SpongeBob inflatable, I bought that from somebody who actually was a franchise owner of a Burger King that didn't participate in the inflatable on the roof. During that time, believe it or not, there was a lot of people stealing them. You could even find news reports online of like during that time, franchise owners like complaining about seeing people on their roof just taking pictures or straight up taking the inflatable SpongeBob. So he didn't participate in it, so I actually got mine brand new sealed in the box, which I did open and probably lowered the value of it quite substantially, but I couldn't care less just because of the fact that it's mine, it's always gonna be there, and it's so freaking cool. But not just that, there was also window clings, which window clings are those stickers kind of that you see on the windows when you drive by a fast food restaurant advertising the new 2 for $4, or more likely nowadays a 2 for $30. It's a plastic material that kind of adheres to the glass of a window really easily, so that way they can put it up, advertise whatever they're advertising, and then slide it off. And I actually have 2 of those that are completely unused, and it's the only item up today that I don't have available right now. If I get the footage before this video goes live, I will add some shots of it right now. But here's the screenshots of my pickup. This is the SpongeBob and also the Patrick that would have went on the windows during this time, probably on the front glass right below the SpongeBob inflatable. And by the end of this, you will see that if we knew somebody with a Burger King, we could quite literally replicate almost the entire experience that would have been available at that time at Burger King in 2025 with all the items. But of course, I wouldn't do that though. I'd have to get them all dirty, probably damage them, collector again, you know how it goes, SpongeBob. Tell them. I surrender. I think he agreed. But let's just say you didn't go through the drive-thru and you went inside. So if you would have went inside at this time, you would have been greeted by this awesome cardboard display stand right here, advertising the SpongeBob watches that would have been available also. We will be covering those, but I do also have this display stand in the collection. Here's a clip from the video where I feature the SpongeBob display stand. This right here is it. It is a SpongeBob movie display, but it is a Burger King display. I did not open it up because I want to keep it brand new sealed, but as you can see right now, it is all in there. You can see the instruction manual, how you would set it up, but it's kind of like Pandora's box. Once you open it, you can't go back. So right now where the collection is, I hope down the line we're gonna have greater space to expand on what we're doing, and maybe around then I'll actually build the display. But as of right now, I'd prefer to keep it in the box, sealed, preserved, to avoid it from being moved around too much or getting damaged. But we do have it in the collection. If we needed to get it out, we do have it. And like I said, it advertises watches. We'll be featuring the watches very soon here too. But if you were going inside the restaurant and if you requested it from the drive-thru, you would have received this right here. This is the SpongeBob Adventure magazine for the movie, and on the cover you just have some iconic imagery here. It says, "Wake up, you sleepy pants." You've got the say cheese moment right there with SpongeBob with his headset on and his leather gloves. We have him brushing his eyes, which we all know is from the intro scene of the SpongeBob movie. And then we have him making his way towards the Krusty Krab. And then explains in the bottom that you could like try to, you know, put these in order of how SpongeBob would have gotten ready essentially in the film before he went to go get his hopeful promotion. Popping it open though, you would see again the advertisement for the watches. They were really trying to push you to go get the watches, which I had many of the watches growing up. I don't think I had the full set, but I had at least 3 or 4 of them. Now, of course, we do have the complete set, but it's so cool seeing them all laid out here like that. And it has all the watches blank, so you could like fill in the times based off of the clues that were there to really ingrain the fact that those watches were available for you for the price. I don't even remember the price. It says in the billboard. I think they're like less than $5 each. To say on the back of the bag, well, advertises them here too, specifically priced. Doesn't say, because depending on your franchisee owner, it may be more or maybe less. If you're in Southern California, for sure more. But it has some clues like SpongeBob TM, trademarked, likes to wake up at 1 hour after 6 p.m. and it's got a little rooster there. So you can write down, oh, 7 a.m., you know, right there. I guess play a little game. Next up, you have the Sponge Scramble, where you scramble all the different names of the characters in the film. And then on the back, you get some of the best, or should I say groovy toys of all of SpongeBob history, the SpongeBob movie toys, and you can see the examples there. We'll be featuring those as well. And it also links you to the SpongeBobMovie.com, which I don't even know if that website is still available, even on like the Wayback Machine. I would love to see if it is, but of course gives you the coming soon for it being in theaters. The Adventure magazine I actually got in a lot with some of the Burger King toys. I was missing like 2 or 3 of them, and I bought the lot of all the different toys, and I gave away the extra ones, and I got the toys, and I also got this with it, and the fact that it's in such mint shape, I'm so grateful for. I probably need to get this thing framed or like put it in some kind of protector, because man, that is super clean. And you also would have maybe been lucky enough to not just get your Adventure magazine. If you asked them nicely and you had that King material vibe, you could have received one of these, the SpongeBob Movie crown. Because you know, back in the day, if you didn't know, you could request crowns from Burger King. You can still do that today during certain promotions. Like I think for the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, they had the red Spider-Man burger, and you could also request a crown during that promotion. I think today, if they were to do this exact same promotion, I bet your square bottom that they would have had a yellow burger that was available. I think for sure that would have been a thing. But you have the SpongeBob crown that you could have received. Get the Burger King logo on there, the Paramount logo, and then the beautiful animation style that was used for the SpongeBob movie. And you also have the Patrick one, also using the art style from the film, of course. You've got Patrick there, the Burger King, the Paramount, very similar to the SpongeBob one, of course, just featuring Patrick. So we have both crowns here in the collection because this is a complete set. But I gotta say, I think the SpongeBob one fills in that space the most. Like there's a lot of leftover space here for Patrick, so I think I prefer the SpongeBob one. And we actually got these in from 2 amazing members of the rep pack, Dawn and T-Dog. They sent them in our mail series over to the P.O. box, and I have acquired other ones since, but I've always sold those off in my Whatnot streams because the fact that these ones came from 2 members of the rep pack makes them way cooler to me, and they're way more personal. So these are the ones I'll always have in my collection. Okay, so now you're making your order, and of course you're gonna order, you know, something to fill you up, right? I have my phone out here because it's very interesting. Let's just say you were ordering the iconic Whopper at Burger King in 2005. At this time in my location, it may have been even cheaper depending on where you live. The Burger King Whopper cost you about $3.99 for the sandwich itself. Of course, you get a combo, it's gonna cost you a little bit more. If you were to order that same Whopper today, in my area, it would cost you $10.39 for that same sandwich, and that is depressing. But you would have ordered your Whopper, and you would have ordered a drink, and of course some fries, because you know you want to get that combo. You can't leave without the combo. So you would have gotten 1 of 5 different drinking options, because at this time it was only about a year or so after the Super Size Me effect, which was a film that based off of what we know now was not actually filmed that accurately, and a lot of it was actually false information that was documented. But regardless of that, the changes that a lot of fast food places made hadn't quite hit Burger King yet. So you had the Super Size, which was this massive cup you see here. I don't even know how many, 42 ounces. How much is in a 2 liter? Almost a 2 liter of soda in one freaking cup. I mean, who is drinking that much soda in a sitting? That's just insane. Only a true sociopath. But you could have had this option here. Beautiful cup. You've got SpongeBob and Patrick driving in the paddy wagon. One of the most iconic freaking, I would say, like film vehicles of all time at this point. The beautiful blue color in the background. A black and white version of the SpongeBob movie logo. And of course, don't forget about them watches. Don't forget about those bonus, specifically priced watches. So you could have got that one. You also, you know, let's just say you weren't as thirsty. You're like, oh, I'm pretty thirsty, but I'm more like 32 ounces thirsty. You could have gotten this one. This is the plankton one. This is my personal favorite of the cups if I'm like looking at it as a fan, because you get Plankton, the star of the film in some ways, the main man, and he's holding a little Plan Z in his hand too. And I love the rich red color on the packaging too. He's got the megaphone, and it's advertising a different watch, but it's still advertising that watch. Gotta get that watch in there. Surprised they didn't strap an ad for the watch on the back of these freaking crowns. All right, and then you would have had a third sizing, which would have been this one here. And I think as a general cup, I think this is the best designed one. I prefer the Plankton one because it's very like specific and it's cool having Plankton featured on it. But this one just screams SpongeBob, and this is just a tell of the time. You do not get packaging like this anymore. It is absolutely gorgeous. You've got SpongeBob turning into the cup, as they did with many products at this time. For example, the SpongeBob TV, the SpongeBob Plug and Play, the Nintendo GameCube controller. So that being on there, and then SpongeBob doing the probably one of the most used images for the SpongeBob movie promotions. And after this, you get into the kid sizing of the cup. And I think that they decided to ditch the watch thing at that point because they're like, yeah, this is not enough premium real estate for the watches. If we're gonna use a watch ad, we want to have a good spot for it. So you have 2 different kid sizes. This would have been your small, and this would have been your, like, I guess kids large, your Mighty Kids meal cup, if you will. So this one features Patrick on it, and it has the awesome green color on this. I love it so much. You can even see lower down there Patrick in his Goofy Goober underwear. I just think it's a fantastic cup and just looks beautiful. Again, you have the SpongeBob movie logo on there. And this was actually the first one I acquired of any of the cups before I eventually started acquiring more of them. But this was the one I started with, so I'll always cherish this cup in that way. And then finally, we have the small cup here. Your Pipsqueak Patty cup, if anything. You got SpongeBob with the lettuce mustache here. And it's interesting because, you know, this was going on like late 2004, going into 2005. So, the movie wasn't quite out yet, so you don't even know why SpongeBob has this like lettuce mustache on his face. Like, there's no, like, we don't even know what Goofy Goober is yet, because Goofy Goober didn't become canon until the SpongeBob movie. So him wearing that hat would only have brought us to you know, more intrigue. You know, maybe you could have figured it out from some of the promo, like the trailers and stuff, but nobody had seen the film yet. And all these watches I acquired two different ways. These three, I believe I acquired on eBay. I got lucked out. I was able to find them over different periods of time. It took a lot of years for just the right ones to come up. You know, I'd seen this one a few times and I already had it, and then boom, one day this one came up, and then the same thing for this. Just years of searching and finding all the sizes. And then these two here, I quite literally would have never gotten if it wasn't for the fact that I am a Patreon and a member of Whatnot. I advertise it every single video, but it's just genuinely true. There's some awesome stuff on Whatnot. It's just like any other selling platform. If you're collecting anything, you want to have the most amount of options available to you, whether it's Mercari, eBay, Amazon. There's so many people that sell on Whatnot and don't sell anywhere else. And if you use my link, you get $15 for free when you sign up. You know how all that goes. Use my link in the description. You'll get 15 bucks. Plus you can enter in on my giveaways I do every single week. But besides that, I got these both in a live stream. Mind you, for this cup here, I paid like 30 bucks. Like 30 bucks for this little Patrick cup. I got these for freaking $2 and $3. And it was in a SpongeBob live stream where when I entered into the stream, many of the people in this community were actually the ones that were buying and being a part of this stream. And I'm so freaking grateful. And I have some like the sweetest people in the world that watch this show, because when I bid on them, I felt kind of bad because I didn't want the person to like lose out on money just because I was bidding. That was not my intention, but the awesome audience, they wanted to see me get a good deal. So everybody ceased bidding so that way I could get them at a good price. In my heart, it was so sweet. It was such a cool experience, and you guys were so awesome to the people that were there for that. So I was able to get both of these for like $5 together, and these were the hardest ones for me to get. Like, these are the last two that I needed to complete this. So boom, there we go. We have all 5 sizes. I do not have the lids for these two, but nonetheless, it's still all a complete collection despite having those lids. I actually don't even know if the lids on these ones are original because they don't have a Burger King stamp on there, but I assume they probably are, you know, so minus the lid. Okay, but then you also would have gotten your Whopper back after your very affordable at that time purchase. And the Whopper, I don't believe that any of the burgers had any kind of special wrapping on the actual burgers themselves, which is not bad. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff. If you compare that to the Wendy's SpongeBob collaboration we had just last year, I mean, we didn't get cups, we didn't get crowns. I mean, hell, some people didn't even get stickers. You know, we had stickers at some locations. We just had a regular burger with like this pineapple aioli sauce that they like made, I guess. Nothing close to this. No freaking thing on the building. So yeah, we'll let them go slide for not having a wrapper around the burger. I think if they did it today, like I said, they would have had like a yellow SpongeBob burger or something like that. They could have even done like a pretty patties thing with like multiple colors. I don't know. But they did not have anything on the burgers, as far as I know. If I ever find out there was something, trust and believe, I'll be searching for it. But I don't think so. And you would have gotten your fries, and the fries would have come in 3 different sizes as well. So you would have gotten the large, the king size fry, if you will, and you've got this one here. This one is so beautiful, man. Like, as somebody who, I love SpongeBob so much, you know, people ask you that like question, like, oh, what fictional world would you live in if you could? You know, some people would say Pokemon, Hogwarts. For me, that answer would always be Bikini Bottom. It would be so cool to live under the ocean, explore the great world that's built there, interact with all of the awesome characters. So like the fact that this almost feels like you grabbed it out of Bikini Bottom, the ocean blue in the background of the fry container, and then you've got SpongeBob and Patrick in the boatmobile. I just love the background imagery. Like, it just looks like a SpongeBob background kind of plastered on a fry container, and I just couldn't appreciate it more. Like, it just makes me so happy and filled with glee just holding this and seeing it. And that should answer your question as to why I went on this journey to collect all this, because I just get so much nostalgia and it warms my heart and it makes me so happy seeing all these different items and getting to kind of relive those memories, even though some of these items I don't remember, but just knowing that they're from that time and were to commemorate something that had such a great impact on my life means so much to me. So this right here is my favorite one. But of course, don't forget it. Collect all 5 watches and be fancy times 5. You have the Squidward watch of him doing the thing, his classic pose on the front of the fry box, in case there was any reason that you didn't know that these watches were a thing. Okay, so that's there. That's that one. It's on the back too. It's on the front and the back. If they could have fit on the side, I'm sure they would have slipped it in there. But then next you have this one, which I guess you could kind of like, if you were to ask for like a medium size, you would have ended up with like these two together. So they would have kind of like blended together really well. So you're like, come on, look at that aesthetic. For like, if you ordered a larger meal, you would have gotten both of these. If you ordered a medium, you would have gotten both of these. You have the Plankton one here with Plankton. Again, the same imagery you saw on the other one. This one advertised the Patrick watch on the back, the SpongeBob watch. And then if you would order the small, which yes, this drink is a small in America. Dude, we think big over here in America, okay? Canada, Europe, Asia. All right, we got big drinks. This is the small that you get in every other country. Like this is, you know, America, we got a lot of drink. It's not my fault you don't get a swimming pool of drink. But yeah, this is the European small here. And then this is their large, okay? That's probably more healthy. You know, we do things differently here in America. But nonetheless, this is the small. So all of that would have worked together. You would have had the SpongeBob fry container to go with the SpongeBob, woo, waiting over there. They look at that little, they're like a little space. Still a little bit of room there to get that watch ad in there. There's even a little watch down there in the corner. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention it, but all of the fries and the burger, of course, would have come in the bags. Yeah, man. So you would have had 2 different versions. So you would have had the adult bag here, but let's start with the kids bag. So the kids bag would have featured SpongeBob's face here, where you could have cut out his eyeballs and wore this as a mask. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a kid, probably, you know, good for this reason right now, but if I had a kid, he was running around this SpongeBob mask with the eyes cut out, I don't know, I might have to freaking Sandy karate chop him out of fear, because that's terrifying. That sounds like a terrifying design there. That sounds horrifying. And then on the back here, it features all of the different SpongeBob toys that were available for this promotion, which we will cover very, very soon here. And you can also guide Patrick through the maze of toys to get to the grand prize, which was the SpongeBob movie watches. That doesn't say that, but I imagine, I didn't go there. But next up here, we would have had the adult bag. So the adult bag, you know, we're not playing any games. There ain't no mask here. You're not cutting out the mask and kissing your wife or your husband in it. You know, all that would be kind of cool. But you have SpongeBob movie time. Definitely think the adult bag looks the best of the two. You have the paper bag look to it. You got SpongeBob and Patrick in the paddy wagon yet again. And of course, you would have had the watches. You would have had the watches advertised on the bag. So specifically priced watches. So you would be sitting there with your bag, your cup, and your fries, and you have the watch here, the watch here, the watch here, and then there's this freaking SpongeBob billboard that's moving on the right side of you, also advertising the watches, and you're sitting there eating like, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm missing something. You interested in those watches? You know, I passed him up when he asked me, but now that I've been sitting here for a minute, I think I'm gonna get him. I think I'm making this decision 100% for myself. There's nothing that could have assuaged me or influenced me to make this decision, but I think I'm gonna get all 5. Like, why not? I'll be 5 times as fancy. Why does that sound familiar? Waiter! There's no way you could have gotten out of the restaurant without the damn watches. There's no way. I would have fallen victim in a heartbeat. I mean, I would have fallen victim before I even showed up, but if somebody, you know, even if you were on the fence, man, they pushed you. You were Humpty Dumpty, and they pushed you straight on over and cracked your head into 5 different styles. So yeah, that's the bag. All right, now let's see the watches. Let's see these grandioso watches that were advertised in every aspect of this almost possible. All right, so you would have gotten the watches. Did I mention the watches? So you had 5 different designs here, and I have all of them sealed in my collection. Of everything that I featured today, even more than the toys, honestly, it's crazy how successful I believe these watches were. If you're new to this channel, I do a lot of flea market hunting, thrift stores, looking for all the stuff that I collect on this channel, all things nostalgia. the thing that I see by far the most, even more than the toys, you would think the toys are these watches. Whether it be the watches themselves or the tins that they come in, I see them just about everywhere, one version or another. And of course, I have the whole set here. So you have the SpongeBob one that is featured. You have the little instruction manual here. The SpongeBob one is in this really cool, like, lagoon blue, if you will. And of course, you can also flip it around, because who doesn't love wearing a watch and you can't see the time? So you can flip it around. I don't know if you want to keep the time a secret from your friends. On the other side, you've got like the striped look to it. But yeah, they had the same thing for the Star Wars collaboration. They had a flippable watch too. But in that one, it had like a hologram image where it was like, oh, okay, I guess that's kind of like a flex or some kind. This is just like a picture of SpongeBob. I don't know why you would have chosen that over the watch side, but you know, it was a gimmick for kids, and I mean, I fell for it, man. I mean, I had a few of them, so I mean, it worked, right? And what I will give them credit for is that there are screw points to remove the batteries for them. A lot of these watches back in the day, they did not have any screw points, so there's pretty much no way to, like, you know, replace the batteries and use them today if you wanted to. Next up here, the Patrick one comes in a really cool tin here. It's like an orangey, like orange sickle type color. You got an image of Patrick on the back there. I do love that all of them have this like yellow interior there too that kind of just matches with everything else going on. They could have easily cheaped out and just gave you like a plastic or, you know, really just a piece of cardboard. The fact they actually went with like a nice, smooth, like gloss coated yellow in there really makes them, you know, adds to the collectability of them for sure. You have the Squidward one, which is in like a rageful red. I mean, it just looks like a dried blood cell. Like it looks like dried blood somewhere. And then it's got Squidward doing the thing on the back of it. Just an iconic one too. All of them kind of have like a stripe theme on the backside of the watches. And then the Plankton one. The Plankton one I think is like, oh man, I think the Plankton is my favorite of the watches. The green just looks so freaking mean. It's like a true Plankton green, like not like a slime green. It's like a dark, rich green. It's got all these like almost eyeball shaped, like very 2000s themed eyes on the backside of it. And then you got Plankton there in this little green, evil, like mist laughing and his eye kind of floating there. I think that's the coolest one for sure. And then of course you got the Plankton image on the other side of it. And then I think the one that's the coolest of the boxes, like the tins, is the SpongeBob and Friends ones, because you know, they couldn't, I guess, include Sandy. Neptune forbid, she would have got her own watch. You know, Plankton gets his own watch. Patrick, SpongeBob, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, who also was a huge feature of the movie, didn't get his own watch. So they were just like, oh, SpongeBob and Friends. We'll include Mr. Krabs and Sandy there, and re-include Plankton, Patrick, Squidward, and SpongeBob. Even though they probably could have thrown in some other characters that were featured in the film, maybe Karen, maybe Mindy, perhaps a Gary, even Neptune. I think would have been a cool featurette for the watch. Maybe even just a Neptune and Mindy one. But they re-included them here, I guess, to just confirm that sell. And this is probably the worst of the watches, in my opinion. You do get all of the characters featured here. SpongeBob front and center, Patrick front and center, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Plankton, and then right down there on the littlest tip, you got Sandy, who likely would have been wrapped up and covered by the clasp of the watch. They did Sandy dirty in this collaboration. She's not featured in any of the cups. Granted, she didn't spend a lot of time in the movie in general, but hey, she stuck around. Look at her now. Freaking get her own movie. Yeah. And then you flip it around, it's an image of SpongeBob on the other side. I think this is probably the most uneventful of the watches. It is cool, like the striping colors that kind of feature a color for every character, but I think my favorite is still the Plankton one. Okay, so now that finally lands us on the toys. So you've got your 1 of 5 watches or all 5 watches on. You're sipping on your 42-ounce drink with your casket size fries, and you're munching down, but you're finally full. You know, you got your fingers greased down to the webbing. You got freaking sauce. You got ketchup, special sauce on your lips. And what's left to do besides play with your toy? You gotta rip that out of the plastic and get your grubby fingers all over them. And I don't know for you guys, but for me and my mom, like my parents used to always make me wait till I was done eating my food before I could play with the toy that was included, like as it was dessert or something. I don't know why I had to like wait, but that was the thing, you know. I would always want to use it in the car, like, oh, let me get the toy. But no, I was like, oh, if you gotta eat first, then you can have the toy. You gotta eat that freaking MSG filled patty and that boatload of fries before you can touch this. Parent logic. But nonetheless, we had some of the best toys ever featured for SpongeBob here. So first off here, you get the SpongeBob Rubik's Cube, where you kind of get to mix around his face. You adjust it. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say a Rubik's Cube. It's like a 2x2 type of cube. cube. Not as difficult as a Rubik's cube. I don't want to mess with it too much because I won't be able to fix it back, so I'm gonna leave it with his face forward. But that's one of the options. Sandy did get featured in toy, so we'll give them that. At least they did this. You get this like push down body karate chopping Sandy here, which is really awesome, and the quality on these toys are so good. If you compare that to today, where a Burger King, I think their most recent collaboration, I think maybe it was Wendy's. No, it was Burger King. Their most recent collaboration, I want to say, if it was not Burger King, it was Wendy's, but they had these Hawaiian themed cups that don't even have coloration on them. They're just literally like plastic filled mold cup. Like the most basic it could possibly be. You know, you have actual coloration on the characters' noses. You got the full-blown dome. They put the flower on Sandy's dome as well. A little nice karate chopping feature. Now that is a nice freebie toy. Like upwards of the quality, I would say, of like something you could see at like a Five Below, maybe even better than that, $5 quality at the minimum as a freebie in your item with your meal. So fantastic there. We also have the Plankton here featuring Neptune's crown. He kind of walks around going crazy with Neptune's crown. Really cool because you can kind of, you know, have your own little Plankton running around the room. His feet are kind of weird looking. I think that it's supposed to be maybe like as if he's like running, so like it looks like a blur kind of, but it just looks like he's got these weird like smushed gum platforms. But other than that, this is still one of my favorite Plankton figures of all time, just because he looks so cool with a crown in his hand. You have another personal favorite of mine, the SpongeBob like emotion changer here with the rolling eyes. I think SpongeBob's eyes are always so expressive and like fun that this did lend itself really well to a fantastic toy, so you can get to land, and you always try to have fun trying to land them on the hearts kind of, so you get that there. This one, it just does this, kind of a weird one, but it's a really good, just like classic SpongeBob figure. You know, like, you know, if you were growing up at this time and you just wanted to have like a SpongeBob action figure, so to speak, to kind of play out your SpongeBob kid fantasies of like him fighting Spider-Man or vice versa, or teaming up with Spider-Man, better yet. There wasn't too many good options even on the retail shelf, so being able to have just like a solid SpongeBob figure is good, and then the fact that it did this is just kind of like a little bonus thing, I guess, you know. This Patrick one's always just been kind of like, why? One of my, probably my least favorite of the set if I were to pick one, although I think they're all fantastic. You like Beyblade him up, and then he kind of just like gets on his foot and does this like weird vibrating thing. He just shakes like crazy. The only thing I can think of this is like maybe because Beyblades at this point in time were really popular. Beyblade, let it rip! So maybe that's what made them like go with this direction. I mean, it's kind of cool. But when you compare it to some of the others, like this Patrick one, which is a paddy wagon, you got Patrick driving in the paddy wagon, still has a license plate that says "to go" on it. You could turn it on. This one's battery is dead, of course, but it had a literal engine in it. Like you turned it on and it would drive forward for as long as it could go, essentially, or until you turned it around or it hit something. And although that's not quite the quality of like an RC car, the fact that it came with a little engine to me is still pretty impressive comparatively to a lot of toys this time, where like a pullback and launch type of effect, or maybe a wind up. It had an actual mechanical engine in it. This right here is the Plankton like bobblehead kind of figure. He is on like a little like platform that kind of swivels back and forward, and he's got some like gel in his eye, some water that like kind of made his eye like the suspended feature in the toy. Obviously with time a little bit more and more of that water has evaporated, so it doesn't quite do that the same way that it used to, but still pretty cool. Next up is this SpongeBob water toy where you're able to like shoot these little like water jets and make SpongeBob dance inside of the container. Kind of a cool one too, you know, like considering SpongeBob is a water dwelling creature, you know, kind of giving him his own little captivity here where you can make him dance like a freaking show monkey. Kind of dark, but I mean literally has a lock on the front, so it's not like they were trying to avoid that aspect of it. Like it has an actual lock built into the front, so he was definitely held captive. But the same thing, the water has like eventually evaporated, so now he's just like sad, and you're just shooting these jets of water and he's just splashing around in this little puddle. Next up here we have the Squidward one, which actually features a porthole window, which is kind of cool because you could have like this massive size giant SpongeBob. You could pretend to be SpongeBob's like a Titan-sized worker in the back of the restaurant. But it also features SpongeBob in the back there too. And this one I think actually shoots out these like little Krabby Patty images, which I don't feel like picking up, but you guys can see the little images that come out there in a close-up. And then you have the Gary toy, which this one is a classic pullback, which in terms of like 20 years later, I kind of do prefer the pullback just because it still works. Whereas like the Patrick one, there was no screws to like remove and replace the batteries. So it's just kind of, you know, know, it just kind of doesn't work now. And it's also a really cool Gary figure. Like, it's just awesome. Again, since Gary wasn't featured on anything else, at least he got into the toy line. And then last, but probably the most slept on, is this SpongeBob recording device. Not only is it one, really cute, it's the fact that you could actually record voice messages onto this device, and I think up to like 30 seconds, and then you could press play and play that recording back in a SpongeBob style sounding voice. Of course, not a one-to-one, but a more high-pitched, almost chipmunk-esque audio point, so that way you could kind of make SpongeBob say whatever you want him to say, and I'm sure there was no kids that took advantage of that. So that was it though, but that was the entire collaboration. We have collected every single accessory that was applicable or possible to pick up at the collaboration during that time, and that collaboration was such a huge core of my childhood and my life. I can say I'm extremely satisfied to have finally collected all of it. There are some smaller things I would love to be able to find if I can down the line. I'll list a couple of those off. I do believe that probably the employees or the franchisee owner would have received like kind of like a pamphlet as to how to roll this whole thing out. That would have been really cool to acquire at some point if it does exist. There also would have been some type of like drive-through backlit like displays that would have been an option, like at the drive-through where you drive up and you can see like, you know, the SpongeBob collaborations going on, see that the toys are featured, because back then they didn't have the digital screens they have now, so it would have been like a mylar material that could be backlit so the customers could see it at nighttime. But a lot of those were just thrown away. I mean, I think even at that time, if somebody would have went to the locations and said like, hey, can I have like the cardboard cutout, or can I have the window clings, they probably would have done that, but I don't think there was the foresightedness enough to grab like the mylars that were in the drive-through like display. But again, if I ever find them, I will definitely pick those up. But as far as like the majority of the stuff, all the stuff that was accessible to customers and the major pieces that were available to the restaurant, we have collected everything. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who had a hand in helping me collect all this stuff, and most importantly, I want to thank all of you guys, because this is a true dream to finally have the collection complete. There's still so many other collecting goals that I have, but I never let that overshadow the moments like this where I do get to complete something that I've been wanting to for so long. So I'm reveling in this moment, I'm enjoying it, and I'm just happy to be here, and I wanted to share it with all of you guys. As always, I want to use this as like a virtual museum to where you guys can experience all of these same things and have that same nostalgia that I have for these things through these videos. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you guys enjoyed it, if you guys could please hit the like button, that would be so awesome. Subscribe if you are new here so you don't miss any of the videos we have coming down the line. Also, if you guys want to support the show further, go check out the Patreon. You can sign up for only $2 a month. You couldn't even get these watches back then. This specifically priced watches for back then in 2005. You couldn't even get a Whopper in 2005 for the price of $2. And you're not helping out a fast food conglomerate, you're helping a small business and an independent creator to keep afloat and keep more content coming your way. So if you enjoy it, definitely go check that out. You can also go check out my Whatnot streams where I'm live every single Friday. I'm picking up stuff like this every single week, and a lot of times I get doubles, triples of some of the items that you see here or in my other videos, and I always bring them over to my Whatnot streams and we auction them off at some amazing prices. So come hang out at the Whatnot stream. That link will be down below as well too. And when you sign up, you get $15 for absolutely free. But on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, before we go anywhere, you know the drill. Scan it! Alright, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour of every single item that was available at Burger King during the SpongeBob movie promotion. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. Also, don't forget to check out the Patreon, Whatnot, all that information is down below, and I'll see you in this video over here that I know you're gonna love. And as always, Rat Pack, I'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Adios and bloop!